say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power.
And a neck as wide as Broadway, for crying out loud.
Right.
The thing that I don't like about Canelo is that it's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yes.
They both hit hard. Because and you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much away? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo?
Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith analyzed Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. Although he advises caution, Stephen A. believes Crawford will win by decision, bringing to mind Gervonta Davis's caution that Crawford might face consequences if he decides to participate excessively. Stephen A. feels Crawford needs to focus more on defense, speed, and ring IQ than on exchanges because of Canelo's inherent size and power advantage. The analysts point to strategy as the decisive element rather than strength.
And a neck as wide as Broadway, for crying out loud.
Right.
The thing that I don't like about Canelo is that it's like almost every shot has to be a power shot.
It's a power shot, yes.
And that's not beating Crawford. I will confess, I think Gervonta Davis's trainer, Cal, I think he said this. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble, and I'm not sure it was him, but I think it was him. He said Crawford could find himself in trouble if he decides to engage with Canelo, because Canelo is the naturally bigger, strong fighter. And I don't care that Crawford's gotten bigger, and I don't care that Crawford's going to go in there just as big as Canelo. Canelo is accustomed to fighting at the weight.
According to Max Kellerman, Terence Crawford has a technical advantage because his skill set seems more refined overall. He draws attention to Canelo. Alvarez's robust chin and broader physique, which naturally provides strength in exchanges. However, Canelo's latest performances have shown a minor dip and haven't been as dominant or sharp as in the past. The bout is framed as a contest between timing and durability, because of the contrast between Crawford's skill and Canelo's size and fortitude.
Great chin, a great chin. But in terms of if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Okay. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guay.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has the
You'd have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov.
Renowned boxing pundit and former champion Antonio Tarver has publicly backed Terence Crawford, while also recognizing the enormous difficulty this fight poses. Tarver claims that Crawford has continuously demonstrated his abilities in a variety of weight classes. However, this battle is very different. He emphasizes that Canelo Alvarez has never really faced a bout like this before, and it is also Crawford's hardest test.
You know I'm Bud County all the way, but this is going to be the toughest fight, the best fighter Bud has ever been in the ring with. And arguably, this could be the best fighter Canelo has ever been in the ring with. We'll find out which one is which on September 13th.
Antonio, I appreciate your time. Safe travels back home.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonio.
Known for having a high boxing IQ, Timothy Bradley Jr. thinks the first round of Canelo versus Crawford will be a methodical affair. He believes that early on, neither fighter would take any needless chances and will instead use the round to assess movement, timing, and openings. Bradley claims that Crawford is particularly patient before setting traps in major fights because he prefers to see what his opponent has to give. However, Canelo has also demonstrated a propensity to feel out the distance throughout the opening round and make adjustments as the bout goes on. Bradley points out that because of this chess-like strategy, the opening round will be a tactical information exchange rather than a show.
So Crawford wants to feel his punching power as well. You know, in the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm. You know, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. You know, it takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although I would say he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, you know, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. You know, and the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. You know, he usually takes off, just feels the power, you know, cruises, you know, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, you know, just gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real, like, calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure, man. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? You know, let me explain this. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, you know, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next.
Amir Khan has a distinct viewpoint on this fight because he has sparred with both Terence, Crawford, and Canelo Alvarez. Khan emphasizes that, especially at welterweight, Crawford has already established himself as one of the greatest fighters of all time. He cautions that there is a reason boxing has weight divisions, because going up against competitors who are inherently larger involves a lot of risks. Khan feels that Crawford didn't really need to shoulder the weight of Canelo's challenge. Despite this, Khan recognizes the desire behind Crawford's choice because his reputation as a great fighter is already well established. He views it as a daring attempt to silence skeptics and accomplish something that very few fighters in history have accomplished: to transcend weight class boundaries. Khan, however, is unambiguous. Even though Crawford is a top-tier athlete, facing Canelo is a risky move that might either permanently improve his standing or jeopardize his career.
All the build-up, they're nothing but respectful. Yeah. I just feel that, you know, in boxing, weight divisions are made there they make them for a purpose, and I highly respect and say pound for pound the best fighter is Crawford by far, and beats anyone. But when you start putting weight on and you go up a weight and you fight these guys like Canelo, even though Canelo might be now getting a little bit older and it might be slowing down a little bit, but he's still going to be very dangerous. That punch power, you're still going to get tagged, you're still going to get hit. You're going to have to spar heavier guys to get ready for that anyway, so you're going to be taking a lot of wear and tear anyway. You're going to have to adding a few pounds on. Does he need to put that pressure on himself? He's done what no one's ever done before. 2-time undisputed world champion. So why not just enjoy? But obviously you want to go for that next challenge. Now for him, he wants to go for that Canelo. I would advise him not to go for that. But if he's the man and he knows how good he is himself. So I can't really say to him that do this or do that. So really,
he believes in his skills. He feels
he believes in his skill. We can't answer for him. We let him go and do it. You know what I'm saying? And we all might be wrong. Yeah. He might be even stronger than Canelo. He might pack the weight on well, that he might do really well in there. So look,
you fought them both. Like, what are the differences between them? Obviously, he's
Canelo's strong and he's easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Yeah. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. Yeah. So really, that's the difference. And they both hit hard. Because and you can see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, yeah, but why does he need to give that much away? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo?
Tom Lafeller examines the event from a spectacle and business standpoint. According to him, two of the biggest names in boxing are Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, both of whom have huge fan bases that span many countries and demographics. In terms of scale, Lafeller contends that very few battles in the contemporary era can match this one. The duel represents a collision of two civilizations as well as a contest of skill. Crawford became a pound-for-pound champion, while Canelo solidified his position as the face of boxing. It is uncommon to see two fighters of this caliber agree to meet, particularly when weight disparities and legacy stakes are involved. Therefore, Lafeller thinks the hoopla is warranted.
Profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that, and you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston, and then Fernando Jr., you know, from one of the biggest boxing named families, you know, in the history of boxing. He's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, you know, such a big show that like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. You know, I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to this sport is just so sincere. He's so real. You know, being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft, and his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of.
Crawford's distinct approach is emphasized by trainer Dave Coldwell, who also notes how he can change stances with ease and regulate distance with his footwork. Coldwell claims that one of Crawford's most underappreciated skills is his leg movement, which enables him to establish angles, irritate opponents, can control the tempo of fights when facing a formidable pressure fighter like Canelo. According to Coldwell, these qualities might hold the secret to success. He clarifies that Crawford has the means to outmaneuver Canelo and score points if he can stay mobile and avoid being stuck against the ropes.
From when the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think it's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch. He's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo. As Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet have never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest. And he loads up. And he don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been hurt before. And Crawford gets hit. He does get hit. That's why he's exciting. But he does get hit. So that means that Canelo could land on him. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb and Crawford knows enough to tie up, to get off at an angle, to get that distance.
One of the most important aspects of this bout, according to Jeff Mayweather, is weight and natural size. He notes that Canelo's body naturally fits the super middleweight class, where he has long held a strong position. In contrast, Crawford is stepping up to fight at a weight that is not really his own, which raises questions about how the extra weight may impact his durability, speed, and stamina. Mayweather emphasizes that Canelo has an innate advantage because he won't be making significant changes to his body because he is comfortable at current weight.
I mean, this is a weight class that Canelo is already, owned. He owns his weight class. And so, and he even went up higher. So, he's already proven what he can do and what he can take at those other weight classes. So, I don't know, but if anyone can do it, it probably would be Terence Crawford. This guy seems like he's amazing. I'm a big fan of Terence Crawford, but I'm a big fan of Canelo as well. So it's one of those situations where somebody has to lose. So I don't know who's gonna lose, but I think that it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a great fight.
An analysis of Canelo's recent performances by Ring Magazine points out that although Alvarez has persisted in training hard and preparing intensely, one obvious vulnerability has surfaced. Canelo has found it difficult to successfully cut off the ring in his most recent bouts. Some opponents have been able to maneuver freely and dodge his power shots as a result of this reduction. This weakness could be expensive against a player like Crawford, whose movement and angles are essential to his strategy. Canelo needs to regain his ability to trap opponents and restrict their escape routes. According to the analyst,
should have any position to critique and criticize Canelo. But one of the things that he's gotten in trouble with in the last couple of fights, not being able to cut off the ring. You go to the William Skull fight and you watched him chase William Skull around and around and around that ring. And yes, William Skull was running from him. That was pretty clear to see. He was on his bike utilizing his jab, but you didn't see Canelo cut him off. You didn't see him move laterally to be able to stop a lot of that running or stop a lot of that circling around the ropes, which is his responsibility if he's going to take the front foot and look to establish himself offensively. And when I watch Canelo here, he's gotten away with this pretty much his entire career, but I watch him cross step a lot. And you see it right there, where he goes from circling, he rolls under the right hand, and instead of moving laterally, replacing his back foot with his front foot, he L-steps and then crosses over, which instead of just moving laterally and shifting, like I said, shuffling to his right off of the L-step, off of the reset, which would allow him to be ready to go and ready to fight again, it takes him that extra beat to get back into fight stance.
David Haye, a former champion, offers an intriguing change of viewpoint. At first, Haye thought that Canelo's strength and bulk would be too much for Crawford, making victory seemingly unattainable for the smaller guy. Haye acknowledges that he has altered his mind, though, after seeing Crawford's training and his unwavering work ethic and technical proficiency. Although he acknowledges that he initially struggled to understand it, he now believes Crawford has a genuine chance of winning.
In Canelo, I've been a fan of his for a long time, and likewise with Crawford, I never thought there was a version of reality where they'd both be in the ring with each other. I initially automatically assumed, because Canelo's obviously beaten, because he was the light heavyweight champion of the world, undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, he's just campaigned at a much bigger weight, so a good bigger can beat a good little one, usually. Until I saw them standing next to each other and they looked the same size. I couldn't quite figure it out. I was like, okay, if they're the same size, then it's literally pound for pound. Who's pound for pound better? And that's it. They're both pound for pound fighters. A lot of people have got them 1 and 2. And I favoured Canelo starting off, but over time, I'm starting to think, once again, Crawford is one of those guys where he reminds me of kind of Andre Ward a little bit, the mindset, and he wouldn't put himself in a position if he didn't know for sure he had enough firepower to deal with someone of Canelo's stature and Canelo's history. But it's the two best fighters on the planet. Mixing it up, it's one of those dream fights. It's a proper trades fight, that anyone who's interested in boxing want to see two living legends going at it. Yeah, I can't believe it's actually happening, That makes sense? Because they're so big in their own right. The fact that fight would never have happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It just wouldn't have happened. But now anything's possible in boxing. Anything's possible.
Canelo Alvarez is warned by former world champion Jeff Horn. He contends that although strength and size are crucial, they do not always equate to success. Horn thinks Crawford's superior defensive abilities will enable him to counter Canelo's power and reduce damage. Horn claims that Crawford's ability to roll with shots, anticipate punches, and avoid being caught flush is remarkable. This implies that if Canelo is unable to land cleanly, his inherent size advantage might not be as significant. Horn emphasizes that Crawford's defensive discipline, which allows him to irritate Canelo, restrict interactions, and then precisely counter, may be the decisive element. Lastly, a seasoned combatant who has studied Crawford extensively over the years, persuasively summarizes his viewpoint. He explains that he just cannot wager against Crawford after examining his development, preparedness, and performances. He highlights Crawford's resilience, mental toughness, and capacity for success, traits that set him different even in the face of difficult obstacles. Crawford has already demonstrated that he is one of the best fighters in the sport, and this fight with Canelo is just another opportunity for him to show off his skills.
Me analyzing and watching Crawford over all these years, I just cannot bet against dude, bruh.
No, you can't.
I'm going to roll with Crawford, and shout out to Nebraska, and that's just what it is.
I'm so glad you here, big dog.
I'm going to go ahead and put my bread down on Crawford, and I'm going to live with the results.
You were a DB, right?
I played wide receiver, kick return, punt return.
Oh, I thought. Oh, why did I think you was a DB?
I don't know.
Even being a wide receiver, you fit the bill of a Terence Crawford. If Terence was a football player, he more than likely would be a DB or a wide receiver.
Yeah.
How much weight did you put on leaving high school going into college?